Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
Click, click. The terrifying power of extreme cold exploded instantly, controlling the surrounding ice and snow for nearly 100 miles, and swept towards the three most powerful dragon emperors in the sky with a biting chill. In the sky, the three most powerful dragon emperors of Wanlong Island were instantly submerged by endless ice and snow. Their bodies were covered with a thick layer of frost, and they were unable to move, as if they had lost the ability to resist. However, a horrifying scene happened. The dragon emperor Aokuin of Shitsu, who was frozen in ice, suddenly opened his mouth and made a thick voice. "You are stubborn and shameless. Aokuin, why bother talking to her so much? Just kill them all. Don't forget the reason why we came." Non-Meow Dragon Emperor spoke coldly, with undisguised murderous intent. That *********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** she might be able to surpass us. By then, unless we can always stay together, once we are alone, I'm afraid. She was wildly revenged. Beiyuan Dragon Emperor spoke coldly and viciously, with undisguised fear and a hint of imperceptible fear. It was the leader in what happened back then. If that be **ch really comes back, he will kill it the first time. In this case, how could it not panic? Do it. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying frost covering the bodies of the three most powerful dragon emperors seemed to have no effect at all. It was directly shattered and immediately rushed towards Invincible, who was blocking the road in front of them. Invincible's pupils shrank, and she instantly felt a terrifying pressure sweeping away like the earth was shattering, almost making her feel suffocated. Her body's instincts were constantly sending warnings to her. Even the terrible Emperor Beast that had entered the realm of the most powerful before was like a baby's toy in front of the three most powerful dragon emperors, looking extremely ridiculous. For a moment, she had the intention of turning around and retreating. As long as the green hills remain, there is no need to worry about running out of firewood. But when she saw the Evil Eye Valley behind her from the corner of her eye, the figure in black appeared unconsciously in her mind, and she immediately gritted her teeth. We've reached this point. How can we retreat? That little b*** D set a trap for me, set up luck divine ability, and tied me together forcibly. Now we can only hope that that little b*** D still has some backup plans. Otherwise, I'm afraid I will really have to answer here today. Fight! Boom, boom, boom. As the huge bloody dragon egg in the blood pool deep in the valley continued to absorb the dragon's blood, its aura became more and more terrifying. The thunder tribulation condensed on the sky is also beginning to take shape completely, and the thick, dark purple, silver purple, and deep purple thunder snakes that are constantly flashing through the clouds are exuding the pressure of destruction. At this moment, the bloody dragon egg in the blood pool seemed to know what it was going to face next, and began to absorb the dragon's blood at a faster rate and undergo rebirth. In the shadow next to the blood pool, a young man's figure was standing there, with a huge halberd stuck in his chest, motionless, as if he were dead. At this moment, the terrifying sounds of fierce battles outside the valley, violent vibrations, and wild dragon roars that echoed from time to time continued to come in. The dead boy seemed to be awakened by the violent movement outside, and began to show some movement. He slowly opened his dark and deep eyes and murmured to himself, "It's still a little bit worse. I slipped up at the critical moment. It seems I wasn't cruel enough to myself, and I still don't think it's time to die." Puff! He stretched out his hand, grabbed the huge halberd stuck in his chest, and pulled it out with all his strength. A few drops of heart blood splashed into the blood pool and were absorbed by the bloody dragon egg. Call! A hurricane flashed by. The huge halberd slashed horizontally towards his neck. Puff! Boom! A giant ice wall across the battlefield was forcibly knocked open by the Dragon Emperor of Shiqiao. And Bu, hidden behind, was suddenly hit by a terrifying impact. The whole person flew out directly. There was a trace of flush on her cold face, and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth, which was obviously an internal injury. Damn it, these thick-skinned and tough men. Even though he has lived for who knows how many years, the mysterious, Emperor Gu, cannot help but feel a little angry at this moment. The strength of each of the three most powerful dragon emperors in front of her is not much weaker than hers. If there is only one, she can still deal with it. But the three dragons attacked her together, and she was almost unable to fight back. Moreover, what's even more terrible is that Beiyuan's body is too fragile. Facing the terrifying dragon race in front of her, she doesn't dare to make any mistakes. Otherwise, she may be able to destroy the body with one powerful blow of the dragon. In this situation, even if the legendary female Gu Emperor of the Gu clan is reborn, there is probably nothing she can do. At this moment, a creepy feeling suddenly came to my heart. Boom! An illusory dragon shadow suddenly appeared from the clouds, and the terrifying dark blue dragon's mouth fiercely bit at her. Beiyuan narrowed her pupils and looked at the huge dragon's mouth that was so close to her eyes, exuding a fishy smell and the densely packed sharp dragon teeth. There was almost no possibility of escape. Nanmiao Dragon Emperor Aoshuan. This silent and invisible guy is actually hiding here. This is a killing game specifically targeted at her. Time freeze. At the critical moment, Beiyuan did not hesitate to use her strongest talent ability, erupting with terrifying power of extreme cold, forcibly freezing time. The huge dragon's mouth that was about to be bitten off was also covered in countless frosts and remained motionless. There was no hesitation. Beiyuan turned around and rushed out from the gap in the dragon's mouth that was about to close, getting out of danger. But the next moment, a feeling of emptiness suddenly appeared from the possessed body, and the aura of the most powerful person began to appear unstable, which immediately made her expression change. No, this little girl's body is still too weak and cannot bear the consumption of my power. This body has reached its limit. Click, click. The time that had just been frozen collapsed instantly. The Nanmiao Dragon Emperor who had recovered suddenly closed his big mouth, trying to tear the prey in his mouth completely apart. But he missed it, bit the air, and hit the ground hard. Time is frozen. It is indeed a terrifying talent ability. It is worthy of being the orphan of the legendary Ice Dragon King lineage that disappeared. Even if it is possessed by a human, it can explode with such terrifying power. If it is your body still, how terrifying it must be. However, now you have no chance. You will die to this emperor. At some point, the 1,000-foot-long figure of Beiyuan Dragon Emperor quietly appeared behind, and Beiyuan, like a ghost. The green dragon flames stored in his mouth burst out and turned into a huge pillar of fire. Facing this sudden attack, Beiyuan, who was now in a weak state and whose realm was constantly falling, turned pale, but she had no ability to resist at all. But she still raised her head proudly, without any fear. Deep in her soul, Beiyuan's soul seemed to be apologizing to her constantly. At this moment, there was no anger or despair in her eyes, but only calmness and a hint of relief. It seems that there is no hope for that little b********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* dragon flames were about to devour her. The Evil Eye Valley in the distance suddenly experienced violent vibrations, and the terrifying forbidden demonic energy suddenly rose into the sky and swept across all directions. Boom! A 1,000-foot demon halberd filled with terrifying demonic aura suddenly tore through the void and hit Beiyuan Dragon Emperor hard on the head. Ah! The Dragon Emperor of Beiyuan suddenly let out a shrill scream. The terrifying force of the 1,000-foot demonic halberd actually smashed its hard dragon head into a huge hole. The flesh and blood were bloody, and it hit the ground awkwardly from the air. Who gave you the courage to touch my people? Who gave you the courage to touch my people? A cold voice exuding endless domineering power suddenly came from a distance. In an instant, the entire battlefield was shaken and fell into a brief silence. The Dragon Emperor of Shizhu and the Dragon Emperor of Nanmiao looked down at the Dragon Emperor of Beiyuan, whose head was smashed by a halberd. His flesh and blood were mangled, and he was howling miserably on the ground. Then he looked at the terrifying demonic halberd stuck motionless on the ground, and suddenly felt an ominous premonition in his heart. The person who came here is not kind. At this moment, they completely forgot one thing: they were the ones who came. Only Enbiu stared closely at the terrifying demonic energy rising into the sky in the distance. Her eyes trembled slightly. A strange look appeared on her face, a little mellow, and her hands subconsciously clenched. Little b asterisk 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 d. You came out on time, right? I was about to die, and you just showed up. Besides, who are your people? Shameless. Uh-huh. The forbidden demonic energy soaring into the sky in the distance suddenly dissipated out of thin air, revealing the true appearance of the owner of the domineering and cold figure just now. It was a terrifying figure dressed in black and exuding terrifying demonic nature. He is tall, and his face has traces of terrifying evil entanglement. His true appearance cannot be seen clearly. Only a pair of dark and cold eyes gives people a sense of fear from the soul. However, to the surprise of Dragon Emperor Xiu and Dragon Emperor Nan Miao, this mysterious figure was just a sovereign-level peak. Even, haven't set foot in the Emperor realm yet. This is obviously inconsistent with their expectation of a powerful enemy with bad intentions. But when what happened next, it completely shocked them and stunned them on the spot. I saw that the mysterious figure took just one step, and the aura on his body suddenly surged out of thin air, and he entered the Emperor realm in an instant. Emperor realm intermediate. Emperor realm high level. The pinnacle of Emperor realm. In just a few breaths, he actually crossed a huge realm and reached the pinnacle of the Emperor realm. This was almost impossible to happen, but it really happened at this moment. Become an emperor in one step and reach the peak. You are the #1 prodigy of the human race, Chen Beiyuan, the young master of the Chen family. The Dragon Emperor of Shitsu's pupils shrank, as if he had realized something, and he couldn't help but let out an exclamation. The expression on the face of the Nanmiao Dragon Emperor next to him also became serious, and his cold eyes became more alert than when he had just fought against Enbiu. Obviously, it also knows how scary Chen Beiyuan is. In other words, nowadays, almost all the leaders of the great emperor countries of the entire human race, as well as the transcendent level forces of the major alien beasts, know the name of the young man in front of them. Less than a year old, he used special means to cross a large realm, step into the emperor realm, and reach the pinnacle. Later, he easily defeated Leng Ruobing, the third strongest man in the Donghua Empire. Such a record can almost be said to be legendary. Nowadays, the entire transcendent level forces of alien ferocious beasts regard them as the biggest threat. Child of the Chen family, it's you. At this moment, the Beiyan Dragon Emperor, who was howling miserably on the ground, immediately stopped feeling pain after hearing Chen Beiyuan's name. He suddenly raised his head and stared at the mysterious figure with his one eye full of resentment. No wonder Beiyan Dragon Emperor is gnashing his teeth at this moment. You know, normally, when Chen Beiyuan, who was just sovereign level, swung his halberd with all his strength and hit it, at most, it would hit a big bag on its head and make him dizzy. It is absolutely impossible to exaggerate like this at this moment. But the problem is that some time ago, it was hit by Mr. Chun with a hammer on the northern front. First, he broke a dragon's claw and dug out a dragon's eye. During this period of time, it relied on dragon race's terrifying resilience to grow back its broken claw. But only the dugout dragon's eye has not achieved any results, and the remaining evil energy is still eroding. When the old injury has not yet healed, if someone hits it on the forehead for no reason, it will make it scream without pain. At this moment, it feels hatred towards Chen Beiyuan. Even if Chen Beiyuan killed his 2 sons before, he didn't have as much hatred as this halberd. However, facing the surprised, vigilant, and hostile looks of the 3 most powerful dragon emperors, Chen Beiyuan remained unmoved and ignored. Instead, he looked at Enbiu next to him, looking at the blood stains on the corners of her mouth. There was a pause. It's okay. Leave the rest of the matter to me. Whoever touches it, I will make it come back 1,000 times or 10,000 times. Go and watch that little guy for me. Good. Enbiu looked deeply at the man in front of her, but rarely retorted. Instead, she nodded heavily and turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the Evil Eye Valley behind her. Obviously, she also knew that the upcoming battle was not something she could interfere with. If you stay here, you are destined to be a drag. Since Chen Beiyuan dares to speak out and ask the three most powerful dragon emperors to pay 1,000 times the price, then he has his confidence. After Enbiyu left, Chen Beiyuan raised his eyes and looked at the three most powerful dragon emperors who were silent and surrounded him, but he didn't care at all. He just said to himself, Beiyan, old dog, I originally planned to go to Wanlong Island to pick up your first season in person on the day I truly become emperor. Unexpectedly, you actually delivered it directly to my door. It's good, and it saves me a lot of effort. Let me see. There are a total of several uninvited guests here today. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. The dragon emperors of Shiqiao, Nanmiao, and Beiyan were suddenly stunned. Some of them didn't react. Where did the 4 of them come from? In response, Chen Beiyuan just smiled jokingly, looked towards a void somewhere, and slowly said, After watching the show for so long, aren't you satisfied enough? The 4th uninvited guest hiding in the dark suddenly felt shocked. But before he could react, a small black hole condensed from the abyss's demonic energy appeared out of thin air in that void and exploded directly. Boom. The terrifying tearing force that appeared after the black hole exploded instantly caused the space in that place to collapse, causing terrifying spatial turbulence, which instantly affected the surrounding area. A sneaky figure is currently trapped in the turbulence of space. Bang. It was only when he forcibly broke free from the shackles of space turbulence and came to the real world in a slightly embarrassed state that his true appearance was revealed. It was an old Westerner with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a strong body, like an old lion. However, at this moment, he was covered in bruises, with countless hideous wounds cut by space. Damn it! Ancestor Caesar looked at his body covered in wounds with gloomy eyes, as if his miserable body had been cut into pieces by 1,000 knives, as well as the space turbulence, not far away that was beginning to heal. The majestic face that looked like a lion twitched slightly, seeming a little aggrieved, a little thankful, and a little frightened. At this moment, the severe pain that kept rising and falling in his body reminded him of how dangerous the scene just now was. Just now, if he had reacted any slower, he would have been completely engulfed by the space turbulence, and he might have been thrown to some unknown place. It might be a different world, or it might be a terrifying Jedi. He is not proficient in the power of space laws. He is afraid that he will be reduced to having no power at that time, but he will be unable to use it, and will eventually be trapped in one place. What a cruel method. Damn it! How on earth did this oriental monster find me? I have brought the bloodline imperial weapon inherited from my family. It is blessed with the power of the ancestors' bloodline and hides my own energy. Even the 3 terrifying giant dragons did not notice it. Is it possible that his soul induction is stronger than the 3 dragon domain lords in front of me are even more powerful? This is far different from what I expected. The true strength of this oriental monster is definitely not only ranked 3rd in the Donghua Empire. The Jiang family misunderstood me. You should have chosen to retreat without hesitation just now, instead of taking chances. Just when Caesar's ancestor's face was uncertain, he suddenly felt 3 cold gazes coming towards him. He looked up and saw the 3 most powerful dragon emperors staring at him coldly, and his whole body suddenly became cold. Stand upright. Anyone who is stared at by 3 huge oriental dragons that are more than 1,000 feet in length for no reason cannot remain indifferent. Even if the ancestor of Caesar is the strongest man in the Western human race empire, he is no exception. It was obvious that these 3 most powerful dragon emperors had extremely unkind attitudes toward this 4th uninvited guest who had been hiding in the dark for unknown purposes. Who knows, you old boy has been hiding in the dark, trying to play a game of snipe and clam fighting for the fisherman's profit. But if it weren't for the even more terrifying existence of Chen Beiyuan in front of him, he would attract the greatest attention from the 3 most powerful dragon emperors. Now he is afraid that he will be strangulated by the 3 most powerful dragon emperors. These 3 powerful dragon emperors from the 3 major dragon realms of Wanlong Island don't like to be followed by others when they are doing things, trying to pick up the slack. Your Excellency Beiyuan, the 3 dragon emperors, I just happened to be passing by and did not intend to interfere in your fight. Don't worry, I will leave immediately. Ancestor Caesar looked at Chen Beiyuan, forced a smile, and said with a slightly flattering tone, "If the extremely humble tone of this famous Western Empire's human race were seen by Westerners, their faith would be shattered in an instant." After being slapped, even the teeth had to be get out, and you still had to keep a smile on your face? Isn't this mean? There was nothing he could do. It was obvious that neither of the two parties in front of him could be offended by him. Not to mention the three ferocious giant dragons from Wanlong Island. Looking at them, I don't have the courage to do anything. As for Chen Beiyuan, you almost didn't die on the spot just now, and now you're going to provoke him? As for revenge, let's talk about it later. Now, let the Eastern monster in front of you fight for your life with the three most powerful dragon emperors in front of you. Ancestor Caesar was scolding his mother in his heart. He almost gave himself in for a piece of bullshit, Swanee heart. The despicable Eastern royal family wanted to harm him again. Ancestor Caesar was thinking as he retreated to the rear little by little, trying to escape from the battlefield. Facing his actions, the three most powerful dragon emperors just looked at him coldly, without much reaction. But at this moment, Chen Beiyuan's faint voice suddenly reached his ears. "Did I let you go? Since you're here, you might as well stay. It just so happens that I also have an account to settle with your Caesar family." Boom. The expression on Caesar's ancestor's face froze, and the humility disappeared instantly and turned into cruelty, with fierce eyes, like an enraged lion king. Seemingly cut into pieces, the extremely miserable strong body instantly burst out with a golden bloodline power. Accompanied by a terrifying lion's roar, he healed instantly. The muscles on his body were instantly covered with a layer of golden lion hair, and sharp claws and teeth grew. The head also instantly turned into a huge golden lion head. That's too much bullying. Damn Donghua people. Do you really think that the blood descendants of the great Caesar are easy to bully? Let's do it together and kill him. Seeing that Chen Beiyuan refused to let him go, the Caesar ancestor was also completely furious. As the most powerful human race player in the Western Empire who can be ranked in the top 10, he also has his own dignity and bottom line. At this moment, without any hesitation, he turned against him and wanted to join forces with the three most powerful dragon emperors to kill this Eastern monster first. Those who can be promoted to the strongest of the human race naturally have the same character and decisiveness. Golden Lion Domain, Furious Lion. Roar. With the blessing of bloodline fighting spirit in his own domain, the momentum of the ancestor Caesar suddenly surged, like an angry lion king, roaring wantonly, forming a golden sound wave and crushing towards Chen Beiyuan. Seeing that old human race guy suddenly rebelled against the enemy, the other three most powerful dragon emperors also immediately moved. Do it! Roar! 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 Three terrifying dragon roars resounded throughout the world. In an instant, the mouths of the three most powerful dragon emperors, the Dragon Emperor of Shizu, the Dragon Emperor of Nanmiao, and the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin, suddenly condensed terrifying dragon flames of khaki, dark blue, and green-red in their mouths and attacked Chen Beiyuan. Go! In an instant, Chen Beiyuan alone was suddenly strangulated by the four most powerful men. Such a terrifying encirclement and suppression camp would scare anyone who saw it. However, at this moment, Chen Beiyuan, who used the magic stone and entered the Emperor realm again, only showed a faint smile on his ancient and smooth face. It's just pointless resistance. I'm afraid even he himself doesn't know how strong he is at this moment. The only thing he knew was that in the next hour after he became emperor, this world, he is an invincible existence. Human sovereignty. An ancient sovereign's luck suddenly erupted from his body. In an instant, the Dragon Emperor of Shizu, the Dragon Emperor of Nanmiao, and the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin felt a terrifying pressure of blood coming over them. Their expressions suddenly changed, and their auras were weakened. Human sovereignty? The three most powerful dragon emperors all screamed in surprise. But human race, isn't there no more human sovereign? But what happened next refreshed their understanding again. I saw Chen Beiyuan just stretched out his left hand gently, as if he had transformed into a black hole in the abyss that swallowed everything, and actually absorbed the three terrifying dragon flames that were attacking him. Then, it disappeared directly from their perception. Puff. As the human race, Caesar's ancestor was most affected by the human sovereign Qi at this moment. His charging speed stopped, and he stood frozen on the spot. The blood in the body began to tremble as if it had been suppressed by unprecedented terror. At this moment, the aura on his body almost fell to the strongest level. How is it possible? The blood of our ancestors is trembling, fearing the Donghua people in front of us. Ancestor Caesar spurted out a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with shock and fear. The next moment, a mysterious figure appeared in front of him like a dream and gently pointed towards his forehead with a finger. The things that came to Donghua and killed the Donghua people and the Donghua mythical beasts should be forgotten as well. No. Boom. 3 terrifying dragon flames with different attributes instantly bloomed from the fingertips, directly ignoring the instinctive protection of the Caesar family blood treasures, and penetrated the head of Caesar's ancestor. Boom. Just as Chen Beiyuan killed the Caesar ancestor with one finger, a violent muffled sound suddenly sounded in the distant sky, like an ancient god roaring in anger. A huge silver thunder suddenly fell from the sky and struck hard into the Evil Eye Valley. It immediately made the entire earth tremble. Its shining silver electric snake even shone on the entire southern front. Obviously, the rebirth of the bloody Dragon Emperor has begun. However, at this moment, the Dragon Emperors of Shizu, Nanmiao, and Beiyin had no intention of paying attention to the situation in the distance. Instead, they stared blankly at the scene in front of them with their eyes wide open. Under the illumination of silver electric light, Chen Beiyuan was dressed in black, surrounded by demonic energy, mysterious and majestic, and slowly retracted his outstretched hand. If a person dies, the debt will be settled. What was in front of him was a huge golden lion body covered in golden fur, with a huge tail, but without a head. Ancestor Caesar is dead. The strongest member of the Caesar family of the White Eagle Empire died so easily. And in his hands, he still held a blood-stained crown until his death. Click! The blood-stained crown suddenly appeared numerous cracks, shattered bit by bit, and turned into a little bit of ashes. This bloodline imperial weapon that has been passed down by the Caesar family for many years and has special abilities failed to save the life of Caesar's ancestor at the last moment. Boom! The huge headless corpse suddenly fell from the sky and hit the ground hard, causing quite a noise. But it was like the first sound of the death knell. This sudden death knell caused the 3 strongest dragon emperors of Wanlong Island to fall into a brief silence. They never dreamed that such a terrifying human race existed in the world. He lightly absorbed the offensives of the 3 most powerful dragon emperors, and then fused them and released them, wiping out the existence of a most powerful man on the spot. This is almost too scary. Even though they have lived for so many years, they have never encountered such a terrifying human race monster. There are simply no words to describe. The one who has the biggest impact at this moment is none other than the one-eyed dragon Beiyin Dragon Emperor. It never imagined that Chen Beiyuan's growth rate would be so fast. The first time they met in the secret realm of the void, Chen Beiyuan was no match for the King of War, but he killed his most beloved son Ao Lai and destroyed his imperial thoughts with one arrow, humiliating him wantonly. The second time they met was in the waters of the Sakura-affiliated country. The time difference at that time was only a few months. Chen Beiyuan was not at the peak of the War King, but he killed his eldest son Ao Qing and dared to scream in front of him. In the future, he will definitely land on the island and take his head. But now when they meet for the 3rd time, the ant that it disliked at the time has now reached a point where it needs to look up to in fear. Impossible. Impossible. How could such unnatural monsters appear in human race? Damn it, my dragon race is loved by heaven and earth, and I was the darling of heaven and earth in ancient times. I, the majestic lord of the northern dragon territory, am actually afraid of a human race child. However, at this moment, Chen Beiyuan was not aware of Beiyin Dragon Emperor's fear of him, or he was aware of it and ignored it. He raised his eyes and looked in the direction of the Evil Eye Valley. His gaze seemed to pause for a moment, but he quickly took it back. Everyone has their own way. Since the bloody Dragon Emperor chose to be reborn, he was probably well prepared. Next, it's your turn. He turned back, looked at the three most powerful dragon emperors whose atmosphere was frozen behind him, and spoke calmly. The thunder tribulation has already begun. There is no need to get too entangled with this monster. Just bypass him, approach the valley first, and kill the reborn *****H. Beiyuan Dragon Emperor's pupil shrank, and he suddenly felt a terrifying chill sweeping over him. But the fear and jealousy stemming from the blood evil still makes it difficult to let go. After killing, immediately, boom, a jet-black halberd flashed, instantly breaking through the dragon's scales, cutting its throat, and the hot dragon's blood suddenly spurted out. Beiyuan, Beiyuan. Evil Eye Valley. As the first thunder tribulation fell, the blood pool deep in the canyon was instantly evaporated by the terrifying high temperature. The huge blood-colored dome was also a little more charred, lying silently in the pit. The wound on the half-cooked body of the Evil Eye Dragon Emperor, which was destroyed by the thunder tribulation above, was still slowly bleeding, just like a piece of medium-rare beef, still with blood. The blood flowing out slowly flowed down towards the bottom, dripping into the hole at the bottom. The bloody dragon egg lying silently in the pit was soon covered with a layer of dragon blood again, and it began to absorb it quickly to resist the next thunder tribulation and accumulate strength. But before she could absorb more dragon blood, the thunder tribulation of destruction in the sky came again. A dark purple thunder that was even more terrifying than before suddenly fell from the sky and blasted into the valley. Boom. Outside the valley, Beiyuan only felt a dazzling purple light flash in front of her eyes. She was so directly stimulated that she almost lost her vision and quickly resisted with the power of extreme cold. At this moment, she was as weak as ever and couldn't help at all. She could only stand outside and watch. Chen Beiyuan's original intention in letting her come here was just to let her find a safe place to practice, and naturally, he didn't intend for her to do anything else. Destruction Thunder Tribulation usually only drops 9, but the power of each one will be a multiple of the previous one. Now this is the second one. I don't know if that little guy can survive it. However, this thunder tribulation seems a little weird. The power of the second thunder is different from what is recorded in ancient books. It seems to be much stronger. Boom. Just as Beiyuan guessed, the second thunder tribulation was even more terrifying than before. One blow directly destroyed most of the entire Evil Eye Valley. The huge dragon corpse of the evil-eyed dragon emperor was directly roasted by the terrifying thunderous heat, exuding an overwhelming meaty aroma, just like a huge roasted steak. The bloody dragon egg that had just absorbed some dragon blood turned directly into a charred giant egg, steaming. I don't know if Anu, who is still pregnant inside, has been roasted. But even so, the thunder tribulation in the sky has not stopped. It is still accumulating and will soon erupt into even more terrifying thunder. Bang! At this moment, a huge shadow was thrown towards Evil Eye Valley from a distance, like randomly discarded garbage. Boom! It was a steaming fresh chicken with a strong smell of blood. Oh no, it should be a dragon claw. The huge green-red dragon claw has knotted muscles, shiny scales, sharp claws, and a cold light. It exudes a strange beauty of an apex-level hunter. However, its gap is very ferocious, with protruding bones and thick dragon tendons that are vaguely visible, and the flesh and blood are blurred. Come to think of it, the owner of this green-red dragon claw must not have been brutally treated and torn off without any willingness. In this case, it should be quite painful. Drop, drop, drop. The huge torn dragon claw was randomly discarded in the valley, and the dragon's blood that continued to seep out of the gap dripped bit by bit, just falling onto the black dragon egg below. The originally dark and silent dragon egg was instantly stained with blood. The creatures inside seemed to have been nourished and began to resume their heartbeats, glowing with scarlet light again. Boom. At this moment, another pair of bloody deer antlers, oh no, it should be dragon horns, were thrown in. Outside the battlefield, a battle that is almost crushing or even a joke is going on. Roar. Another painful dragon roar sounded, and Non-Meow Dragon Emperor covered his empty right eye and howled in pain. The eyes of this emperor, above its head, Chen Beiyuan's figure stood majestically, with demonic energy surging in his hand. He held up a blood-stained dragon eye that looked like the most exquisite sapphire in the world and looked at it carefully. It turns out that dragon's eyes look like this. Boom. Its huge dragon body keeps rising in the sky, moving quickly, as if it wants to throw down the figure above it. But no matter how it swung around, the domineering figure remained firm and motionless. Boom, boom. At this moment, two terrifying dragon flames, one green and red, one earthy yellow, suddenly attacked Chen Beiyuan from the side. But before the two terrifying dragon flames could attack Chen Beiyuan, they were directly absorbed by the surrounding abyss domain and disappeared without a trace. Boom. The next moment, two dragon flames suddenly appeared out of thin air and hit Non-Meow Dragon Emperor's head. It was still screaming and suddenly felt that its mind went blank. It was knocked down from the sky and hit the ground hard. But Chen Beiyuan still stood there, casually throwing the blood-stained dragon eye in his hand towards the evil eye valley behind him. A pair of evil eyes looked at the two desperate dragon emperors behind him in a playful manner. Is it this weird domain ability again? Is there really no limit to his field abilities? Not far away, the thick voice of the Dragon Emperor of Shitsu could not conceal a hint of exhaustion and despair. Don't blame it for behaving like this at the moment. It's just that the human race monster in front of you is too incomprehensible. All those who attack him will be absorbed by that weird field, resulting in immunity. Then they were released at will to attack them. From the beginning to the end, they were unable to harm each other at all. Instead, they were constantly being counterattacked by their own attacks. It's almost like beating yourself up. He has never seen such a weird and seemingly limitless Emperor realm in all his years of life. Coupled with the various terrifying abilities of this human race monster, this is almost impossible to solve. If it weren't for Dragon Race's terrifying physical strength, they would have been beaten to death by the monster in front of them. Sometimes, Dragon Emperor Shiyu even doubted that he was not fighting a human race strongman at the pinnacle of the Emperor level. Instead, he was fighting an old monster from the divine realm disguised as a human. At this moment, it also had many flaws on its body. Not only did it lose a dragon horn, one side of its dragon whiskers was pulled out, but it also lost half of its tail. This human race monster is not fighting at all. He is deliberately dismembering us bit by bit, using our flesh and blood to continuously nourish that ***ch and help her survive the thunder tribulation. Part of the reason why he didn't kill us directly was to keep our flesh and blood fresh. Beiyuan Dragon Emperor's face was gloomy, and his remaining one eye was almost ready to spit out fire. Compared to the other two dragons, its situation is undoubtedly the most miserable. The dragon claws on all four limbs on the body were twisted off, the dragon horn on the top of the head was violently broken, and the scales on the body were even more pitted. At this moment, it doesn't look like a giant oriental dragon, but more like an ugly snake. What was even more humiliating was that the man actually chopped off its dragon whip and crushed it in front of it. This is unbearable pain for any male dragon. Hateful, if this place is 10,000 Dragons Island, I will definitely use the 10,000 Dragons formation to suppress it. If you cannot escape from the divine realm, and 10,000 dragons cannot be defeated, that is the great formation left by Dragon God. No matter how strong this human race monster is, it will definitely die. Now, I'm afraid the plan to kill that ***ch, the bloody ********D won't work. With this ****ch as mistress here, there is no chance of success, so we can only withdraw first. Seeing that the situation was not good, Beiyuan Dragon Emperor also began to have the idea of retreating first. I don't know whether it was due to aging or a connection of minds. The Dragon Emperor of Shitsu next to him glanced at it secretly, as if he had guessed its thoughts. The two dragons had a tacit understanding and did not consider the Non-Meow Dragon Emperor who was slowly waking up below. It is natural to imagine what thoughts are in his mind. But at this moment, Non-Meow Dragon Emperor didn't know that he was about to be abandoned. After he woke up, he quickly returned and wanted to hug each other. But at this moment, Chen Beiyuan seemed to have seen through the little thoughts of Beiyuan Dragon Emperor and others. The game is over. The hunt begins. Previously, Beiyan Dragon Emperor and the others refused to retreat and still wanted to break through his encirclement line and attack Anu, who was reborn in the transcending tribulation, so Chen Beiyuan naturally didn't mind having fun with them. By the way, I cut the flesh from their bodies with blunt knives, dismembered them bit by bit, and threw some organs and limbs to the Evil Eye Valley to give Anu some help. But now, the prey who is frightened by being cut wants to run away, so naturally, as a hunter, he will not continue to play around. Anyway, after being killed, the remaining dragon corpse is still useful. Escape. Almost at the same time, the Dragon Emperor of Shizu and the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin turned into a stream of light without hesitation and chose a direction to escape. Interestingly, when the two dragons were escaping, whether intentionally or accidentally, the two thick dragon tails hit Non-Miao Dragon Emperor hard on the back of the head. Boom. Non-Miao Dragon Emperor, who was still a little confused, suddenly suffered these two blows and was directly rushed towards Chen Beiyuan. Shichiao, Beiyan, you are plotting against me. Non-Miao Dragon Emperor roared in shock and anger. It never imagined that these two old foxes would betray their teammates so neatly. Just let it go to the front all at once. As the saying goes, when you encounter danger, you don't need to run fast. You just need to run faster than some unlucky person. At this moment, Non-Miao Dragon Emperor is obviously the unlucky guy. It's just a pointless struggle. Chen Beiyuan looked indifferently. Wow. Wow. 9 golden dragon head chains suddenly appeared out of thin air, carrying an oppressive and terrifying blocking force, completely blocking the dark blue dragon in front of them. Ancient Dragon Prison Lock. This kind of forbidden weapon to restrain dragon race has not been destroyed by my dragon race ancestors long ago. How can it still be left behind? Non-Miao Dragon Emperor suddenly exclaimed, his remaining one eye widening in fear. These forbidden weapons that specifically restrained dragon race had caused considerable damage to their dragon race back then. It even once made all races have the urge to slay dragons. Click, click. The 9 golden dragon heads instantly burst out with resentment to restrain dragon race, tightening the huge dragon body tightly. The more it struggled, the tighter it became. At this moment, it was like a tied-up living loach, twisting and turning. However, the shock Chen Beiyuan gave him was far more than that. I saw that Chen Beiyuan had a huge, weird bone bow full of cracks in his hand. He was seen holding the bow in one hand, setting the string with the other, and fully pulling the bow string with one hand. He suddenly condensed 2 huge bone arrows in completely opposite directions, aiming directly at the fleeing Dragon Emperor of Shiyu and Dragon Emperor of Beiyin. Maybe it was because Chen Beiyuan couldn't bear the huge force. Maybe the 2 dragon-slaying arrows at one time exceeded the limit. The ancient dragon-slaying bow started to make a crackling sound and trembled like crazy, as if it might collapse at any time. Ancient dragon-slaying bow. Non-Miao Dragon Emperor was already a little numb at this moment. Bang! As Chen Beiyuan let go mercilessly, the huge bone bow suddenly couldn't withstand the pressure, burst directly, turned into ashes all over the sky, and collapsed on the spot. Call out! Call out! The 2 gray arrows filled with terrifying resentment suddenly tore through the space, and there seemed to be countless entanglements of dragon race's souls on them, disappearing directly, heading towards the target to kill. The Dragon Emperor of Shizu and the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin who were running away suddenly felt a chill coming over them. Not good. As soon as the Dragon Emperor of Shichiao noticed something was wrong, he felt a terrifying edge coming from behind. Immediately, a terrifying force came from behind, directly breaking through its hard scales, tearing the dragon's skin, and penetrating its heart. Puff! A huge blood hole suddenly burst open in the heart of the huge dragon body. The majestic dragon body that was more than 1,000 feet suddenly froze in place, and then fell directly from the sky thousands of miles away. In comparison, the Dragon Emperor of Xian was pierced through the heart by an arrow and killed with one hit. The treacherous and cunning Dragon Emperor Beiyin was obviously more vigilant, and he responded accordingly as soon as he noticed the creepy chill. Change as you wish. The huge 1,000-foot-long dragon body shrank by more than half in an instant, leaving only more than 100 feet, and it was still shrinking. In this case, the target point of the dragon-slaying arrow was directly avoided. But dragon-slaying arrow, as a forbidden weapon to restrain dragon race, how could it not have corresponding magical powers? If I was evaded by a divine ability of change as I wish, what's the point? While the Beiyuan Dragon Emperor shrank in size, the dragon-slaying arrow suddenly grew 100 times larger out of thin air, just like a bullet suddenly turned into a huge cannonball. As the area becomes larger, the attack range naturally also becomes larger. Roar! A howl of pain appeared. The huge dragon body of Beiyuan Dragon Emperor was suddenly cut in half by the dragon-slaying arrow that was enlarged 100 times. The flesh and blood were blurred, and half of the dragon body fell from the sky. From the gap, the dragon liver and gentian could be faintly seen. It's a lucky fate. An indifferent voice suddenly reached my ears. The screaming Beiyuan Dragon Emperor suddenly felt his scalp numb and looked up. The overbearing, mysterious figure appeared in front of it like a god of death and slowly stretched out a finger to point towards its eyebrows. The fingertips condensed with an ultimate black light, like pure darkness. Just one glance can't help but absorb the mind. In an instant, the severely injured Northern Flame Dragon Emperor's dragon soul erupted, and he uttered a strange dragon language before dying. Dragon God, save me. Boom. In an instant, half of its dragon body became shriveled, as if all the dragon's blood and moisture had been drained away. A terrifying wild aura suddenly condensed from his body, slowly manifesting a majestic wild dragon shadow, like the legendary dragon god. Chen Beiyuan paused and looked at the dragon god's shadow that appeared in front of him with his deep eyes, and felt an inexplicable, threatening feeling in his heart. It is not easy for this old dog to actually attract the legendary dragon god's shadow with his blood. Sure enough, none of the old monsters that can live for hundreds of years are simple, especially a powerful race with profound heritage like dragon race. Today, even the dragon god's shadow cannot save you. Chen Beiyuan's dark eyes instantly became serious, and the terrifying demonic power in his body suddenly erupted completely. Behind him, the space suddenly cracked open, revealing a corner of the abyss. A gray and terrifying demonic hand suddenly stretched out from inside, grabbed the dragon god's shadow in front of him, and dragged it directly in. Click, click. A creepy eating sound suddenly resounded from the inside of the abyss, mixed with the sound of flesh and blood stuffing teeth. No. The Beiyuan Dragon Emperor, who was directly swallowed by Dragon God's shadow, was immediately counterattacked, and the skin on his body instantly became old and dry, as if he had aged more than 100 years. At this moment, its eyes were full of despair. Puff! A black light suddenly penetrated its head. The black light dissipated little by little. The huge dragon head suddenly stiffened, and the luster of its eyes dimmed. From the blood hole between the eyebrows, you could vaguely see the remaining brain matter inside. As for why the Borneo brain disappeared, it is unknown. The aura of Beiyuan Dragon Emperor dissipated quickly at this moment. Chen Beiyuan calmly retracted his fingers and was about to use the Dian Soul technique to directly absorb the soul fragments that had not yet dissipated after the death of Beiyuan Dragon Emperor. But the next moment, his eyes changed slightly, because he didn't get any soul fragments. Something's wrong. Swish! A mysterious light suddenly flashed in his eyes, and he quickly deduced and explored something. Soon, various signs of the battle just emerged in his mind, and they were slowed down 10,000 times, playing at a super slow speed frame by frame. His eyes suddenly became sharp, as if he had seen something. I saw that when the Northern Flame Dragon Emperor summoned Dragon God's shadow with his own blood, an inconspicuous true spirit light was actually wrapped in a simple dragon scale and secretly teleported away. At the critical moment, use the blood to summon the phantom of the dragon god to block it, and then directly abandon the body and let the true spirit escape. Suddenly, Chen Beiyuan seemed to have thought of something. His figure flashed, escaped into the void, and appeared on the ground not far away in front of the corpse of the Dragon Emperor of Shizu, whose heart had been exploded. But what caught his eye was also a soulless body. In order to hide it from him, The old monster Shitsu Dragon Emperor did not hesitate to abandon his own dragon race body that had been tempered for thousands of years and let a trace of his true spirit escape. If you are cruel enough to others, you are cruel enough to yourself. You did teach me a lesson. Chen Beiyuan's face was touched, and there were ripples in his eyes. The heroes of the world are like the Crucian carp crossing the river. Although these two dragon race old men were beaten like grandsons by him, they never stopped thinking about running away. Moreover, he succeeded unexpectedly by relying on dragon race's secret skills. If he hadn't habitually wanted to use the Dian Soul method to search for souls, he might not have found it. He directly put away the bodies of the two most powerful dragon emperors, Beiyan Dragon Emperor and Shiyu Dragon Emperor, and threw them into the system space. Prepare it for future use. Immediately, he looked at Non-Miao Dragon Emperor, who was still struggling before he could escape. However, you just happened to have blocked its way of survival. To be fair, Non-Miao Dragon Emperor wanted to run away. There is no problem even if he abandons his body, which he has honed for hundreds of years, and escapes in exchange for the true spirit. The problem is, it's locked. Ancient prisoner Dragon Lock not only locked its physical body, but also locked its dragon soul, true spirit. Now, it's its turn to be embarrassed. Now, its biggest hope is to pin it on Chen Beiyuan to kill it. After untying the ancient dragon prison lock on its own initiative, it uses the scales left by the dragon god to protect the true spirit, escapes back to Wanlong Island, and enters Wanlongqi. But why does this emperor have an unknown premonition? Non-Miao Dragon Emperor looked at Chen Beiyuan, who was walking towards him, and suddenly felt a chill in his heart. He always felt that something had been revealed. Wanlong Road, Dragon Temple. Deep inside the temple, a huge blood pool condensed by the blood of countless dragon races is constantly bubbling with hot bubbles. This is the treasure 10,000 dragon pawns in the eyes of countless dragon races. It is said that this object was cast by the legendary dragon god himself and has the miraculous effect of raising the flesh and white bones of the dead. Moreover, it can also make the dragon race people's own bloodline become more pure and powerful. However, the conditions for the use of Wanlong Pond are also extremely harsh, which is the body and soul of dragon race. Back then, after the dragon god created the treasure 10,000 Dragons Pond, he left his ancestral teachings that any tribesman who has reached the end of his life and is willing to contribute to the tribe can voluntarily invest in the 10,000 Dragons Pond and dedicate himself, benefiting Holong. In the dragon race, those with extraordinary talents and great achievements can enter the Wanlong Pool for a bloodline training. This ancestral precept is undoubtedly good, but as time goes by, it begins to change. Until more than 100 years ago, the entry quota for the entire Wanlong Pool was almost controlled by a few powerful dragon emperors. Non-direct dragons and pure-blooded dragon races were not allowed to enter. And for so many years, the only dragon race that can be entered by someone who is not a direct lineage of the most powerful dragon emperor is the blood-evil dragon emperor. Gulu. Gulu. Wanlong Pond suddenly rolled with hot bubbles and violent fluctuations, as if something huge was emerging. Soon, I saw two huge, smooth monsters with no scales, no claws, and two sarcoma on the top of their heads, like python dragons emerging from the blood pool. Among them, a slightly smaller white python suddenly took the lead and said, "Damn Chen family boy, he bullied the dragon so much that he forced me to give up my natal dragon body and use this stored treasure instead. Second body, if I don't protect myself from this hatred, I swear I won't become a dragon. One day, I will let you try the power of 10,000 dragons formation. Bah, I am a majestic, pure-blooded dragon race. Most of this second body is made of the dragon blood and dragon flesh of those despicable bastards. It has simply tainted my bloodline." The fully enlarged white python dragon frowned slightly, and his voice was slightly thicker, with undisguised dissatisfaction. "That's enough, Beiyan. Do you know how big of a trap you made this time? Not only did you fail to kill that ***ch, but you also provoked the evil star of the human race, causing even me to be involved and lose my life as a dragon." Seeing the anger of his second brother, the Dragon Emperor of Shizu, the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin, who had been shouting just now, became a bit mute. At this moment, the two white python dragons are constantly absorbing the energy of the blood pool and have begun to change, gradually growing khaki and green-red scales, and even the minions on their bodies are beginning to take shape. This shows the magical effect of Wanlongqi, the dragon race treasure of Wanlong Island. But just when the two began to reshape their bodies and regain their strength, they saw the figure of Nanmiao Dragon Emperor who had not been seen for a long time. What's going on? Why haven't we seen the third brother show up yet? Maybe something happened. Dragon Emperor Shiqiao frowned and looked at Wanlong Pond, where there had been no new movement. Even Beiyin Dragon Emperor next to him was a little confused, and he obviously sensed something was wrong. Suddenly, the calm blood pool suddenly began to become hot, and hot blood bubbles appeared one after another, as if something huge was emerging. This undoubtedly made the somewhat confused and startled Dragon Emperors of Shizu and Beiyin breath a sigh of relief, thinking that the third oldest Dragon Emperor, Nanmiao, had escaped and started to reshape his body. But the next second, the figure that emerged from under the blood pool made the two dragons freeze in place. I saw that it was a python body covered in snow and white, with its belly upside down and floating out of the water. Third brother! Third brother! Two exclamations suddenly resounded. This indicates the surprised mood of the Dragon Emperor of Shizu and the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin at this moment. Don't blame them for such a big reaction. It's just that the surprise came too quickly. Just now he was talking about the third child, Nanmiao Dragon Emperor, but the next second it came. The good news is to float like them. The bad news is dead. A huge corpse suddenly floats in front of you. How can you not panic? Especially when the corpses look exactly like the ones they had just grown. That's even more frightening. They never expected that Nanmiao Dragon Emperor would die directly, and obviously he died in the hands of Chen Beiyuan. True spirit did not come back to inherit this second body. In an instant, a feeling of sadness for the dragon's death and the feeling of harming its own kind surged across the faces of the two dragons. Third brother, Chen Beiyuan, you must die a happy death. Third brother, you died so miserably. Brother, I can't help you. Third brother, don't worry, second brother swears to avenge you. Third brother, you smell so good. Click. Following Beiyin Dragon Emperor's unintentional words, the atmosphere at the scene instantly fell into a strange state. Nanmiao Dragon Emperor's carefully prepared second body, which was still turning pale before he had time to use it, was exuding a strong fragrance in their eyes. How can this thing not be delicious? It is the prototype of the physical body of a powerful Dragon Emperor. The nutrition and value it contains are almost beyond words. It also has a lot of benefits for the two dragons to quickly regain their strength. Soon, a strange sound of tearing and flesh chewing, as well as strange conversations began to resound in Wanlong Pond. Third brother, second brother really cares about you. Don't worry, second brother will definitely avenge you. Tear. Baha. Third brother's meat is so chewy. Chen Beiyuan, who was on the internal front of the Donghua Empire, did not know what was happening on Wanlong Island, nor did he know that the brotherly Dragon Emperor of Shizu and the Dragon Emperor of Beiyin were nibbling and playing with the Dragon Emperor of Nanmiao, who was half holding hands. At this moment, he was looking at a blood-stained ancient dragon scale in his hand with interest. With his terrifying power that could easily knock down the giant dragon, it was actually difficult for him to cause the slightest trace of damage to this ancient dragon scale. This is one of the 5 natal dragon scales left by the dragon god in the legend. It has the special ability to protect the true spirit, travel through space, and seek good fortune and avoid evil. Each of the 4 most powerful dragon emperors on Wanlong Island has one in their hands, but the remaining 5th one has been missing for a long time. According to rumors, as long as you collect the 5 dragon scales of the dragon god, you can open a dragon god's gift hidden on Wanlong Island. After devouring the dragon soul of Nanmiao Dragon Emperor, Chen Beiyuan naturally saw some secrets about Wanlong Island and the secrets of the dragon race. Among them, the one that interests him the most is the mysterious gift from the dragon god. However, This kind of thing can only be explored if you have the opportunity to go to Wanlong Island in the future. At this moment, a terrifying loud thunderbolt sounded again in the distance behind him. Among the deafening thunder, there was a faint groan of pain. The movements of his hands were sudden. Evil Eye Valley. The ground at the bottom of the valley has been struck by thunder for more than several thousand meters. The entire valley is exuding unimaginable and terrifying high temperatures, and billowing hot steam is rising one after another. The most powerful corpse of the evil-eyed Dragon Emperor had already been destroyed by the terrifying high temperatures of destruction thunder tribulation again and again. Even the corpse of Non-Miao Dragon Emperor that was thrown in later was mostly vaporized, and the remaining half was charred black. In a small pit at the bottom, a bloody dragon egg glowing with blood had become extremely dim, and there were cracks visible to the naked eye, as if it had been forcibly split open by thunder tribulation. This shows how terrible the danger of the previous transcending tribulation was. There are still residual thunder and lightning beating slowly around the crack, with a hint of destruction, as if it is going to kill it. However, this last bit of remaining thunder is obviously not enough to be feared. Because all 9 thunder tribulations have been lowered, it indicates that her road to rebirth has been completed. Boom, boom, boom. A heavy heartbeat began to come from the cracks in the blood-colored dragon egg. All 9 thunder tribulations of destruction have fallen, and she has passed this tribulation. According to the records in the Dragon Race Ancient Book, the greater the disaster encountered during rebirth, the more terrifying the rewards and benefits will be. Judging from her situation after rebirth, I am afraid that none of the most powerful dragon emperors on Wanlong Island will be her opponent. Now, it's the turn of those old monsters to kill. Huh? Then why hasn't the thunder tribulation dispersed yet? And Beiyuan looked at the sky in astonishment. It still didn't dissipate for a long time, and even continued to gather momentum to condense the destruction thunder tribulation of black and white thunder. The whole person was dumbfounded. No wonder she was so shocked and dumbfounded at the moment. What happened in front of her was really too shocking. Since ancient times, 9 has been the ultimate number, and the same is true for thunder tribulation. There has never been a situation where the 10th thunder tribulation landed. What on earth is it? Is it possible that there was an accident, or is there something magical about that little girl? Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the black and white thunder and lightning condensed on the sky have condensed and formed, and the terrifying power it exudes is even more terrifying than the superposition of the previous 9 thunder tribulation powers. Such a terrifying thunder tribulation, not to mention the bloody dragon egg in the valley that was already in a state of severe damage. Even the most powerful people in this world who stand at the pinnacle dare not touch his edge. In this case, it seems that the only ending for that silly little dragon is death. Boom. The terrifying black and white thunder and lightning suddenly fell from the sky. And Beiyuan turned pale and subconsciously wanted to close her eyes, as if she couldn't bear to see the next scene. Just when she was about to close her eyes, she suddenly saw a domineering figure with monstrous demonic flames rising into the sky, directly blocking the Evil Eye Valley, and rushing straight towards the black and white thunder and lightning above. He seemed ready to defend thunder tribulation. According to the rules, I don't care, but if it's a trick, then I have to take good care of it. 9 paths are 9 paths. Where does the 10th path come from? Do you think Chen is blind? Roll. Click. The space suddenly shattered, and behind Chen Beiyuan, a terrifying scene showing most of the abyss was revealed. Boom. A terrifying giant hand of gray-white brazenly blasted the black and white thunder and lightning that came from the depths of the abyss with one punch. Without stopping, it blasted toward the thunder tribulation in the sky. Bang! In the sky, the thunder tribulation condensed calamity cloud was forced to poke a big hole. God, it was broken. With one punch, the sky was broken. And Beiyuan raised her head, her face twitching as she looked at the scene of a big hole being forcibly poked in the sky, feeling that her knowledge had been refreshed. She never expected that Chen Beiyuan could reach this level. No matter what bullshit thunder tribulation, no matter who is behind thunder tribulation, he has no scruples at all, Just go up and punch bang bang. Directly poke a big hole out of Tiandu. This shocked her at the horror of the opponent's true combat power at this moment, and at the same time she admired his madness. This guy simply goes forward without fear. I would fight even the sky for that little girl from Dragon Race. And the scene that happened next allowed her to truly see what bullying the weak and fearing the strong meant. I saw that Thunder Tribulation, who had been extremely irritable just now and wanted to strike down Anu with a bolt of lightning and kill Anu, received a punch from Chen Beiyuan in the front and immediately became furious. Countless thunders surged and began to condense, as if to angry. How dare you beep? Chen Beiyuan's eyes turned cold. Boom. It's Bang Bang's punch again, and it goes straight in. There were two large holes in the sky instantly, just like a pair of dark panda eyes. Thunder Tribulation, who was furious just now, was stunned on the spot. Swish. The next moment, Chen Beiyuan's figure suddenly turned into black light and rushed into the Thunder Tribulation of the sky, followed by a violent vibration, and the roar of thunder continued to resound. Boom. In an instant, the entire sky was in chaos, and countless thunders rolled, as if terrifying ancient gods were roaring in anger. But the angry roar, which was loud at the beginning, gradually became sluggish, and even Jie Yun began to become unfocused. I'm afraid that even he didn't expect that he would meet Chen Beiyuan, a complete lunatic, and that he would be beaten severely for no reason. Since ancient times, he has been the one who beats people, and no one can beat him. But Chen Beiyuan did it, and he did it very thoroughly. Bully. Sky. Got it. Bang. With a huge explosion, the huge calamity cloud in the sky exploded instantly. A terrifying figure with monstrous flames slowly appeared. The black clothes on his body were dust-free and fluttered in the wind. His whole body exuded a domineering pressure that was unparalleled in the world and suppressed for a lifetime. There is still a little bit of thunder surrounding his body, but it can't even break through his defense. It actually destroyed Thunder Tribulation. And Biyu stared blankly at the scene in the sky, with a bit of numbness on her face. She was obviously shocked and speechless by what happened one after another. Evil Eye Valley. Without the threat of destruction Thunder Tribulation, the blood-colored dragon egg with cracks located deep in the pit suddenly emitted an increasingly scarlet light. The light came out through the cracks, becoming more and more evil and dazzling, as if it had an inexplicable vitality, staring straight at the scenes happening in the sky. As expected of the legendary Thunder Tribulation of Destruction, if I hadn't exerted the power of the Abyss Forbidden Book to its extreme and even used the Abyss, I really wouldn't be able to blow it up. Then, it would be troublesome. I'm afraid it's just me. Now, most of the demonic energy in my body has been consumed, and there is not much time left for the magic stone. Chen Beiyuan exhaled a breath of turbid air, completely dispelling the thunder from his body, and the countdown time of the Stone of Transformation began to appear in his mind. 3 minutes. Suddenly, a permeating evil smile appeared on his face. This time, everyone involved has learned a lesson, and only the person who has been hiding behind the scenes has not been punished. In that case, let's use the last remaining blow to teach the people behind the scenes a lesson. If I'm being plotted and don't respond, that's not my character, Chen Beiyuan. The Imperial Capital, the Imperial Palace, and the Wuji Palace. Zhang Huang was concentrating on reviewing an extremely important secret plan about the Empire before the case. Just judging from the subtle movements in which he paused from time to time and glanced south. At this moment, his heart was not as peaceful as he imagined. He was the one who sent the news to Wanlong Island about the rebirth of the Bloody Dragon Emperor. He also sent someone to give the news about Swanee's heart to the Caesar family. Even if Chen Beiyuan is most likely in southern Xinjiang at the moment, the Jiang family got out completely through special channels. This series of actions is undoubtedly an attempt to drive away a tiger and devour a wolf, and kill someone with a borrowed knife. When the four great powers take action, even if Chen Beiyuan has extraordinary powers, he will not be able to escape. Even if Chen Beiyuan doesn't die, he can at least cut off one of his future arms and put the blood-evil Dragon Emperor to death. But as time passed, there was no news from the spies in southern Xinjiang. This undoubtedly made the emperor of the Donghua Empire a little doubtful, and he couldn't help but have some strange thoughts. A fight at the level of the most powerful person can easily destroy a continent, and the movement it produces is simply difficult to conceal. Once there is a fight of this level, it will definitely not be hidden from anyone. But why hasn't the slightest movement been transmitted back after so long? Maybe there is some kind of accident. Jiang Huang's eyes flashed with a hint of haze. At this moment, a rush of footsteps suddenly appeared outside the hall. Your Majesty, there is urgent news from southern Xinjiang. Urgent report from southern Xinjiang. Send it in. The haze in Jiang Huang's eyes was instantly swept away, and he became calm and indifferent, and was about to speak to let him in. But he suddenly felt an inexplicable terrifying chill, as if he was being targeted by some terrifying entity. The sky in the imperial capital suddenly turned dark, suddenly falling from daytime into darkness, instantly causing consternation and panic among countless people. What is that? Suddenly, someone screamed. A huge crack suddenly opened in the sky, and a terrifying giant finger like white jade was slowly falling towards the palace, carrying unrivaled, terrifying power. In an instant, the entire imperial capital was shaken, and the ancestors of each family appeared one after another, focusing their attention on the palace. How brave! Deep in the palace, an old voice with a rich and domineering voice suddenly appeared. A terrifying blood shadow suddenly appeared from the palace, condensed into an equally huge finger of blood, and collided towards the sky. Boom! The next moment, terrifying collision waves appeared throughout the imperial capital, but before they could spread, they suddenly disappeared out of thin air. The expression of the ancestor of the Jiang family, who looked like an old farmer, suddenly changed slightly, and his cloudy eyes instantly became solemn. Solemn. What a domineering power. Just now, the two sides fought in the air, and the fight was evenly matched. The strength of the boy from the Chun family has grown so fast, he is just short of catching up. Boom. At this time, a violent shaking and collapse sound came from not far away, but it made the ancestor of the Jiang family suddenly look extremely ugly. Just listen to the eunuch's anxious Drake voice shouting continuously. Come quickly. Wuji Palace has collapsed. Wuji Palace has collapsed. Your Majesty accidentally buried it inside. The collapse of Wuji Palace was undoubtedly a big deal, especially if Emperor Jiang was buried inside. It would be an even bigger deal. No one expected that such a thing would happen suddenly. This is a serious matter that undermines the dignity of the emperor. The sovereign clan minister responsible for protecting Jiang Huang and the commander of the imperial army were almost going crazy with fear at this moment. In an instant, the entire palace was almost in chaos, and there were even some secretly stealing, doing evil things, and fishing in troubled waters. As for how Emperor Jiang was dug out of the collapsed palace, it is unknown whether he was injured or whether he was okay. News inside the palace was blocked very quickly, and everyone who witnessed it was soon silenced. Piles of corpses were continuously pulled out of the palace and buried. The heads of various families wanted to enter the palace to meet the emperor, but they were all refused, saying that the emperor had not been allowed to see anyone outside in recent days. This move undoubtedly made countless people think about it. It is said that even the Prince Jiang Yunfan couldn't wait to enter the palace to have a look and fulfill his filial piety, but was stopped outside the palace. And more people are guessing who the person who took action at that time actually dared to take action against the Donghua royal family. It was simply audacious. What's interesting is that no matter how the people below talk about it, the wealthy families in the empire choose to remain silent and have no intention of expressing their opinions. Obviously, they had already guessed it. There are only a handful of people with this kind of strength in the entire Donghua, and they dare to blatantly interfere with the royal family. Even if you say that your surname is not Chun, even a dog will not believe it. In the backyard of Chen's house, several women gathered together. Then, my father was buried. It was Beiyuan who did it. Jiang Yanhua, who was hiding in Chen's house, was stunned when he heard the news. She never expected that Beiyuan could be so powerful. He could make such a big noise in the imperial capital from far away in southern Xinjiang and forcefully kill the old dog in the palace. Normally, When a normal person hears that something happened to his biological father and was sold, the first thing he would do is worry. But after witnessing the head of her 14th brother rolling out of Wuji Palace, she seriously doubted whether the man in the palace was really her biological father. That's the man-eating monster with a human skin on its head. If Beiyuan hadn't arranged for her to be rescued from the palace, she couldn't even imagine what would have happened to her. Even the emperor dared to move. This time the palace collapsed, and he was accidentally buried. I'm afraid he won't know where he will be buried next time. Suddenly, a madman sharpens his sword at night, and the emperor's star flutters high. This empire may not be able to have a surname of Chun. Leng Ruobing was trembling with excitement. Her eyes were almost watery, and her red lips were biting tightly, as if she was caught in some kind of special reverie. If one day, the Chen family can take a step further, couldn't Beiyuan be able to sit in that position? When the time comes, won't she continue to make progress? After all, she is also one of the original stocks. When she thought of this, a silly smile appeared on her face. Beiyuan has a low-key personality. If there is such a big commotion today, there must be something wrong in southern Xinjiang. I'm afraid that the one in the palace caused some trouble again and offended him. Bai Ruowei didn't care whether something happened in the palace or whether anyone was dead. Her first reaction was that everything happened for a reason. There is a high probability that something is going on in the palace. Otherwise, with Beiyuan's character, he would not slap the emperor in the face in public. When she thought of this, she felt a little worried. She is not worried about Beiyuan's safety. After all, judging from the situation just now, instead of worrying about her own Beiyuan, she is more worried about whether others can resist. What really worries her is that most of Chen Beiyuan's rebellions are related to women. This little b asterisk 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 d has been disappearing for a while, and I don't know how many sisters he found for her. I don't know. This kind of emotion comes and goes quickly. I saw her lowering her head and stroking her flat belly, as if sensing a life that was gradually growing, and a hint of maternal tenderness appeared on her face. Since the last time Chen Beiyuan personally presided over the reclamation project for a day and a night, he finally had a harvest for the first time. She is pregnant. This time, the other women were envious. That kid from Beiyuan has been honest since he was a child. If you ask me, even if he was wronged outside, otherwise, he wouldn't have been forced to fight back like this. The man in the palace has been getting more and more outrageous these days. Mother Chen took things very lightly when things happened in the palace. In her eyes, the emperor was naturally not as important as her son. Moreover, as a member of the Ji family of the human sovereign family, she had no respect for Emperor Jiang at all. No matter how noble the Jiang family is, how noble is my Ji family? However, that little b asterisk 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 d is so true. He sows seeds and then disappears. He is just like his father. He doesn't know how to water more. My wife's belly is getting bulging day by day, and she still fools around outside every day. Ruowei, don't worry. Mom will make the decision for you when that little brat comes back. By the way, I heard some time ago that Kuan chicken appeared in Nankuan Mountain. These wild animals are rich in nutrients and are most suitable for nourishing fetuses. Mom has already sent people to catch them. I will make soup for you then. Faced with Mother Chen's pleasant attitude and the words of tiger and wolf that appeared from time to time, Bai Ruowei also had a blush on her face. Thank you, Mom. Evil Eye Valley. A figure in black slowly descended from the sky and reached the bottom of the valley, and the terrifying aura on his body also began to fall away little by little. The body that was already exhausted of demonic energy suddenly felt a sense of emptiness in his heart, as if he had been fighting the White Fairy for 7 days and 7 nights. In an instant, the cultivation level that was originally at the peak of the Emperor realm quickly fell to the King level. And the tall body has only become a little smaller, a few years younger, but he has not turned into a child like before. Obviously, the talent feature of secondary adaptive evolution comes into play. It offsets a lot of the side effects of the Stone of Transformation. Chen Beiyuan leaned against the earth wall and looked at the blood-colored dome that was starting to glow with fire, his eyes showing a hint of exhaustion. Kill the evil eye, fight the Dragon Emperor, break the Thunder Tribulation, and fight the Emperor's capital. After a series of battles, even though he was strong, he was still physically and mentally exhausted. In addition, there are also side effects of the Stone of Transformation. Little guy, I have done everything I should do and can do. The next thing depends on you. I'm tired, let's take a rest. He leaned on the wall, slid down little by little, and lay on the ground. He didn't care whether the ground was dirty or not. His eyes were hazy, and he murmured to himself. Soon, the sound of gentle breathing resounded deep in the valley. He was unprepared and fell asleep directly. Click, click. At this time, the continuously resounding heartbeat of the bloody dragon egg suddenly stopped, and the cracks on the eggshell began to open rapidly. Bang! A tall figure with no hair, dragon horns on its head, and a huge dragon tail behind it. It was covered in egg liquid and was at least 2 meters tall. It exuded terrifying pressure and suddenly broke out of the huge dragon egg. A pair of dark purple vertical eyes stared straight at the sleeping Chen Beiyuan on the ground. Bloody Dragon Emperor. Reborn. I don't know if it's a coincidence or intentional. Just when Chen Beiyuan fell into a coma and fell asleep, she, who had been silent all this time, was reborn, and she underwent earth-shaking and terrifying changes. From the original cute little dragon girl, she turned directly into the mature, plump, indifferent, and cruel empress of dragon race. That tall and plump figure is probably 2 heads taller than Chen Beiyuan, with a broad mind, and a pair of long legs that are extremely dazzling, and may even kill someone. The scarlet dragon horns on the top of the head are shining, making people want to touch them. The scarlet, thick and huge dragon tail is enough to entangle people. Although she has transformed into a human form, she still retains some of the characteristics of ferocious beasts, as well as her arrogant and indifferent aloof state, which is enough to drive Fu Ruekong crazy. In front of her, even the tall Chen Beiyuan looked a little petite at the moment, with an inexplicable contrast. What's even more frightening is that the terrifying coercion she is unconsciously exuding at this moment is no less than that of Mr. Chen before the battle in the imperial capital, and is even a bit more terrifying. From this, we can see how terrible the increased talent gave her in rebirth was. She just returned, was still in the period of surge in strength. In the next period of time, as long as she adjusts and adapts, she may become even more terrifying. Suck! Those dark purple eyes stared straight at Chen Beiyuan, who was lying on the ground in front of him, sleeping and unconscious due to exhaustion. His indifferent eyes were filled with a trace of greed and desire. His sharp teeth were spread out, and his slender tongue was licking her red lips. At this moment, she no longer had the ignorance and innocence of the little silly dragon before, and began to show the desire and greed of the adult dragon race. Tread, tread, tread. I saw her stepping out with her long legs and walking out of the huge dragon egg. The sticky egg liquid flowed along the scales and tail of the dragon and dripped to the ground. Step by step, he approached the unconscious Chen Beiyuan in front of him. In an instant, a huge shadow silently enveloped Chen Beiyuan. Gulu. A sound of gurgling in the stomach suddenly resounded in the valley. She had just gone through many thunder tribulations and was reincarnated, but she was in a state of excessive hunger. The cells in her body were silently protesting and craving for food. At this time, the huge dragon egg behind her is the best food and energy supplement. But obviously, the reborn dragon race empress has her sights on more delicious food. Despicable and evil human beings actually did such treacherous and unethical things to this emperor before he awakened, and even tried to train him as a dragon pet. His heart is to be punished. However, for the sake of your loyalty and protecting the law for this emperor, I will spare your life for the time being. However, you can avoid the death penalty, but you cannot escape the living penalty. The thick scarlet dragon tail directly rolled up the unconscious Chen Beiyuan in front of him and dragged him in front of him. Tear. The clothes on Chen Beiyuan's chest were torn directly, revealing her fair, strong, and fragrant skin. After continuous evolution, Chen Beiyuan's body at this moment can already be compared with a certain brother who can live forever after eating. Looking at the delicious food in front of her, the dragon race queen began to be unable to suppress her hunger and restlessness. She opened her mouth wide, revealing her sharp teeth, and bit down fiercely. In an instant, the strong smell of blood and sweet blood suddenly rushed into her mouth, which shocked her spirit and brightened her eyes. She was already impatient to eat the human pet in front of her. Ding! The host is being attacked by the dragon race queen, Blood Dragon Emperor, in an unknown way, and her unique dragon race mark was planted on her chest. Dragon race mark. This mark and smell has a strong stimulating effect on all female dragon races and fierce beasts, and declares sovereignty. However, it will also attract the covetousness and desire of some powerful female beasts with rebellious psychology. Ding! Part of the host's body is bathing in the natal dragon blood from the dragon race queen, Blood Dragon Emperor, and obtaining a large amount of natal dragon essence, and its own beast divine ability, Blood Dragon Transformation, begins to mutate and evolve. Blood Dragon Transformation, Beast Divine Ability, Bloody Fierce Dragon Transformation, Fierce God Divine Ability. Bloody Fierce Dragon Transformation, Fierce God Divine Ability under the stimulation of the natal dragon blood and natal dragon essence of a terrifying dragon that has awakened the blood of the fierce god. The dragon race bloodline in your body has evolved, and you will gain the ability to transform into a bloody fierce dragon, and you can recover from injuries by absorbing the sins of all things. Ding! The host's body is being attacked by the dragon abyss devouring attack from the dragon race queen, Blood Dragon Queen, and its own blood and chi begin to become deficient. At the critical moment, the human sovereign Nei Jing in your body begins to operate actively to resist external attacks, thereby starting to eliminate the backlash of the God Change Stone in your body and obtain a special title reward, Emperor. Emperor, special title due to special reasons. Your riding ability has been specially enhanced, and you can temporarily enter the state of man and rider unity, with each other's minds connected and souls melted. Strange. Why has Chen Beiyuan, the little guy, not come out after entering the valley for so long? Hasn't the dragon race little guy survived the thunder tribulation and reincarnated? Now that all the attackers have been repelled and killed, the entire southern continent is no longer a threat, and there should be no need to hide anymore. What the hell are they doing? And Biyu frowned, with a puzzled look on her face, and walked quickly towards the depths of the valley and began to look for the traces of a man and a dragon. She waited outside for a long time, but she didn't see any trace of the two people. Finally, she couldn't help but go in to search for the situation. Because she used too much power, her own strength was weak, and even the soul of Biyu in the depths of her soul was too exhausted, causing her to fall into a deep sleep. For this reason, as the Emperor Gu, she could only temporarily control Biyu's body and take charge on her behalf. After returning to Gu City, she would use resources and secret methods to wake Biyu up. Fortunately, she had collected the smell of this man and dragon before, and she could still find their location. But just as the Emperor Gu was doubtful and gradually went deep into the valley, just when he was about to find the target, he suddenly slipped and almost fell to the ground. The dark ground in front of him suddenly turned into a wet swamp. Just when she was stunned, she suddenly heard the angry sea, the raging waves, and the loud noise of the continuous beating. 7 days later, a belch sounded deep in the valley. The Empress of Dragon Race, who had barely eaten and drank enough, was wearing a scarlet blood robe. She stood up and tightened her tight clothes. The slightly red face regained its previous indifferent, unruly, majestic, and domineering look. He didn't even look at the human pet, who had been ravaged on the ground for a long time and soaked in the hot spring pool. That was a tough act. This mere misfortune cannot shake the mind of this empress. I saw her raising her head slightly arrogantly, with a domineering look on her face, and touching her round belly. As the legendary Bloody Dragon Emperor, the most talented and powerful dragon race in the past 1,000 years, how could she be addicted to beauty? At most, it's just a matter of experience. However, the little tail that kept wagging behind her revealed her happy mood at the moment. Before her rebirth, she was only 100 years old and had just entered adulthood in Dragon Race, a time when she was very angry. It's a pity that none of the Dragon Race caught her eye at that time. After that, he embarked on the road of fighting dragons in the world and on the battlefield. He almost defeated all the pure-blooded dragon races on Wanlong Island and killed many dragons. Unexpectedly, after returning from rebirth, I managed to solve some of the small needs I had before, and by the way, I completed a small phased goal. At this moment, her aura is much more powerful than before. It is obvious that after going through the running-in period, the hunger period, and eating a lot of the essence of heaven and earth, her overall strength has been greatly improved. After thinking about himself for a while, the Bloody Dragon Emperor could not help but step into the hot spring and held the still mature Chen Beiyuan in his arms. A trace of tenderness seemed to flash across his seemingly indifferent and cruel face. And reminiscences. I originally wanted to stay with you for a while, but I, the Empress, have other things to do. The people of Wanlong Island still need me, so give me some time. After this Empress takes over Wanlong Island and kills all those rubbish, she will come to the Donghua Empire to capture you and take you back to be my husband. When the time comes, I will chain you up and lock you in my room, lock you up every day, and spank you. Although she felt reluctant to leave, at this moment, she still made the decision to leave temporarily. The reason why she was hunted down by the Northern Yin Dragon Emperor and the most powerful Dragon Emperors back then was not only because of her outstanding talent and the potential to threaten the other most powerful Dragon Emperors. I thought she was the king of all hybrid dragon races and subdragon species at that time. At that time, the mixed blood dragon race and subdragon race were almost slaves, blood packs, and playthings of the pure blood dragon race, with almost no status at all. Originally a mixed blood dragon race, she was determined to change the humiliated status of the mixed blood dragon race and subdragon species, so she chose to go head-to-head with several powerful dragon emperors headed by the pure blood dragon race. And this move undoubtedly launched a revolution within dragon race. Moreover, we still have to revolutionize the lives of several pure blood dragon emperors. And her result is naturally predictable. She was defeated and forced to be reborn. Fortunately, she met Chen Beiyuan and finally came back fortunately and took a step further. Now, she naturally wants to go back to Wanlong Island, reunite her old troops, and revolutionize the lives of those immortals again. However, I don't know how many dragons were still alive in her direct lineage during the Great Purge. Ayuan, wait for me. She lowered her head, their foreheads pressed together, their hot breaths sprayed on each other's faces, as if they wanted to remember it completely. Roar. A huge dragon roar resounded throughout the world. A scarlet blood dragon more than 1,000 feet suddenly rushed out from the Evil Eye Valley, turned into a stream of light, and moved quickly towards the north. And on the scarlet dragon claw at the front, there seems to be a red rope, hanging a filled milk bottle. Before leaving, she glanced meaningfully in a certain direction of a certain valley. After the bloody dragon emperor left, while soaking in the hot spring, Chen Beiyuan, who was supposed to be in a comatose state, suddenly moved his eyelids and slowly opened his eyes. He looked straight at the direction the other party was leaving, with a complicated light flashing in his eyes. It seems that after rebirth, Anu's consciousness should have merged with the blood evil dragon emperor, and the two combined to form a new individual and become more mature. This result is much better than expected. There is no need to force correction, and there is no need to kill. This is already good. At least, he could still accept it. And the worst result is that Anu's own consciousness will be swallowed up by the blood-evil dragon emperor, and when the time comes, he will turn into a cruel and crazy blood dragon that will not recognize his relatives. When the time comes, I want to take advantage of his weakness to eat him alive to increase his strength. If that time comes, he will probably consider using special means to completely get everything back on track. I'm afraid even the Bloody Dragon Emperor didn't expect that Chen Beiyuan, who seemed to be sleeping unconsciously and almost defenseless, secretly set a test for her. If she failed the test just now and had some thoughts, I'm afraid there would be some unbearable end. Since he can make you reborn and come back once, he can make you reborn and come back a second time. Fortunately, it wasn't that bad yet, and the other party passed his test in a slightly outrageous way. Hey, this guy is much more domineering than when he was a kid, and his strength is much greater. He almost took off a layer of my skin. Chen Beiyuan looked at the tooth marks on his chest, a few scratches on his back, and the large bruises on both sides of his waist. He couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth slightly. A whelp is a whelp. My forehead drips and my waist drops. Ding! It has been detected that the host has changed the original fate line. The original hidden heroine Blood Dragon Emperor should have fallen into the space turbulence. But due to the intervention of the host, she was successfully reborn, and her strength has greatly increased, and she is expected to unify the transcendent level forces Wanlong Island, indirectly enhances the host's luck and obtains a special reward. Emperor Chung Dan, rank 9. Emperor Pill, rank 9. The legendary ancient divine pill contains the secret of becoming an emperor. Anyone who takes this pill when breaking through the emperor realm will increase the chance by half. An ancient elixir engraved with the 9 emperor patterns suddenly appeared in his hand. His eyes paused, looking at the Chung Di Dan in his hand, with a hint of emotion on his face. It seems that after returning to Beijing, I will be able to become the emperor by completely putting all the arrangements in place.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.